Yeah!
It's Josh Williams here, and welcome to the One Man Podcast, episode number 39 for Wednesday, February 7th, 2018. How you doing, everybody? Welcome back, listeners. Welcome, new listeners. Thank you for tuning in, guys. This week, we've got all sorts of things to talk about. I have ended my tenure with The Source. I did some promo. I got some silly stories, telling you guys some upcoming stuff. I'm stuttering a little bit. Or I should say slurring my speech, because as is usually my custom, I'm doing this very late. It is 1:07 a.m. right now on Wednesday. I don't ever really start the podcast this late, but it's been a busy week, and excuses. Point being, as always, I will, rain or shine, have it available for you when you guys wake up Wednesday. So it's Wednesday. I'm actually recording the fucking podcast on Wednesday. Started after the mark. Anyways, I have poisoned myself in order to do this podcast this evening. And by that, I mean I am drinking a Red Bull. I don't drink this stuff normally. I'm not a big fan of energy drinks and things like that because they will give me a very short-lived, boost of energy. And then I crash like a motherfucker. So I am slurping Red Bull. Can you hear the ice clinking around? Doesn't make it taste any better. Tastes like fucking weird. I don't even know how to describe it. You guys know what it tastes like. You've tasted a fucking Red Bull before. They just taste like, sugary fucking piss water. I don't know. It's weird. There's a weird taste to it. Anyways, regardless, I am poisoning myself to give me the juice I need to get this fucking podcast going. Guys, I'm excited. Still in a good mood. I'm still loving life. Still enjoying things. The moment last week's podcast ended, I was wondering what all that extra noise was outside in the hall. I thought, that we had, maybe Jay had his girlfriend over, or Kamar and Jason were bragging about how much they love Trump and what a superhero they think Trump is. But I went downstairs to see what all the commotion was in my boxers and tank top. And there was a bunch of people I didn't know in the house, and they were all playing board games. So the second last podcast ended late night. I ended up being up till 2 o'clock in the morning playing games with, I did go up and change. I'm like, oh, what's up? Just the typical fat guy in the fucking TV shows where he's sitting on the couch in his goddamn boxers and tank top. Guest server's like, let me tell you another thing there. Big fucking Sal, cigar ash on his chest. No, as soon as I took one step down and half stepped into the fucking dining room to see all these strangers there, I immediately turned around and got dressed. Came back down. So yeah, we played some board games with some new people that Jason had found out in the world and brought home. So that was a fun way to just kick off next week's storytelling, was that we played games with strangers until late night. In fact, one of them has a daughter who's a recruiter for Shopify. So I chatted with that dude. He sent in a thing. Now, to continue the story from last week, I have not heard anything more from Shopify for any reason. So I don't know if they're not interested or what have you. Again, I still enjoyed my trip there. In fact, the Red Bull I'm drinking was acquired from Shopify while I was there visiting. So still making an impact on my life, even though I haven't heard from them. So again, worst case scenario, I got an amazing tour and a bunch of free shit while I was there. So anyways, I will tell you guys more about that as I hear anything. But as it stands, his daughter was a recruiter from them. So I'm like, hey man, give me a little, wink and a nudge there. Tell them that yours truly is a good dude and would love to have an opportunity to come work at Shopify and, be a part of the team. Regardless, super fun night starting just as early as the second the last podcast ended. And then on Wednesday. Again, doesn't really matter day to day, but going back last week when you guys heard the last one, I spent the day doing trainings. So that new job that I start very shortly, a couple days from now. As a matter of fact, from the time you guys are listening to this, I actually start it tomorrow on Thursday. And, but it's still cellular, still telecom, not upset, not bitching, but with all of those jobs comes the wonderful, wonderful e-learning courses, the ones where you sit in front of a computer and you click next and you do quizzes and it's shitty flash videos and they talk down to you like you're the biggest fucking idiot. I guess I'm starting to learn that all the jobs I'm qualified to do, they got to talk to you like you're an idiot because you have no skills, you have no degrees, you need to start from scratch. If someone comes in with a gun, don't try to apprehend them. I'm going to help them carry the shit to the car. All right. How can I be of use to you? My life is not worth anything that you have here. So take it all. How may I be of service to you? The customer is always right, especially when they have a gun. So I'm watching all sorts of videos like that and how to respect people who are differently abled. All sorts of things like that. If you see someone in a wheelchair, don't pat them on the head. That was one of the things that it said. I mean, that's what happens when you have no skills or are a Canadian entertainer. It's like, I need a job that's flexible. All right. But you're going to need to know that you're working with people who need to be told not to pat people in wheelchairs in the head or to ask them if they want a race or something like that. I can't remember all the stupid examples that they had. So I spent a good portion of the day doing that training, and then I've had a training for a promo that I was doing on Saturday. Back to doing what I love, promoting products and getting paid way good money to just have a good time and market some shit. So I did a lot on that online training, and then my dad had asked to take me out for my birthday again. A lot of people playing catch up and looking to do time with me. That was January 19th. We're now February 7th. Anyways, it was last week he wanted to take me out, and we went out to, I think we were having this conversation about, hey, where do you want to eat? And everybody's very, very cool about the fact that, I'm trying to take better care of myself. You know what I mean? Like, normally you see people kind of go like, come on, you got this reason or that reason, a lot of enablers. It's been very cool. Everyone's been like, no, like, how do we support? So my dad offered to take me to like a place in Ottawa called The Table, which is like a vegetarian vegan restaurant. And while the food is good there, it's pretty expensive. It's all by weight. So I mean, like a plate of food there, you're looking at like, it's usually $15 to $20 for just a fucking plate of food. And it's really, I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of just veggies with some usually coriander, curry-ish kind of flavors or something simple. It's a good place. I enjoy the meal. I never feel like it's worth the amount that we pay for it. So I just said, hey man, I know money's tight. You don't have to, we don't have to do that just for the sake of it. I go, why don't we go somewhere? I say, well, do you want to go to a buffet? So it's almost like, again, the kindness of like, want to take care of, but the buffet stuff, he's like, yeah, you don't want to do a buffet because buffets are gross. And it's kind of the opposite. It is funny though, as, a large man, that people seem to just think buffet is like the magic word. You know what I mean? Your name is Rumpelstiltskin. Ah, my weakness. You just say buffet to a fat person. They're like, oh, I know what that is. I'm not a big fan of buffets. First off, a lot of them, I know my parents enjoy going to buffets because it's one of those things where you feel like you get your money's worth, right? You pay a flat rate and then you just fucking go hog wild. Blech. Big fat fuck, you eat as much as possible. Like, it's almost like this, I'll show you to the owner kind of thing, but really you're just fucking yourself over. Whatever. What am I talking about? Point is, I'd mentioned to him, I'm like, the only buffet place that I gone to that I enjoy is, I just said that there's a place called Mandarin, and I'm sure I know it's like a nationwide thing. So, I was like, Mandarin's pretty good. It's like a Chinese buffet place, but it doesn't taste like all heat lamp dried out bullshit, So, my dad happened to mention, he's like, oh, you know what? I think I saw something on the Ottawa Valley Fish Society or whatever the fuck it's called. My dad has gotten into in the last year, aquarium stuff. He bought some goldfish for Brody and Michaela when they were visiting one time. And then just, when the summer was over, we had a little pond in the backyard at my mom's place. When the summer was over, he decided, well, I'm going to put them inside and see if we can keep them over the winter. And just out of nowhere, he started collecting more goldfish. The goldfish were getting bigger. The goldfish bred. They had a bunch of extra goldfish. He picked up a couple other just little simple fish or whatever. So whatever. The hobby has grown. My dad spends a lot of time at home. Whatever. Fish. Now he's part of a fucking fish cult or whatever it is. So fact of the matter is, he was just mentioning, he's like, you know what? I actually think I heard that on this evening, the Ottawa Valley fish people or whatever are meeting here, and they've got a special discounted price for members for the Mandarin. Why don't you come as my guest? There you go. So perfect. I mentioned Mandarin. He remembered something about Mandarin. Save a little money, go out and have fun. And at the same time, conversations can be, not always, but can be a little awkward between my dad and I, because we're all human. We all make mistakes and things like that. But my dad and I have a lot of baggage that we may or may not someday sort out. But I know that he and I will never have a real relationship until we do. Hey, by the way, new listeners listening to me just go, there's a problem with me and my dad. I'm just being honest. So if you've just tuned into my life story at this point, yeah, I don't have a great relationship with my dad, and I will never have one with him until we get to, discuss and air out some old shit. But, quick summary, my dad left at a very early age and has sort of been periodically in and out of my life. So the reason conversations are a little fucking awkward with me and my dad is because when we're together, he tries to offer me advice and things like that. And with all due respect, my dad is certainly not somebody that I would want to emulate in terms of stuff like that. And at the same time, you can't not be a part of my development as a person when I'm young and then just expect me to take your advice because you hold the quote unquote office of dad. So, not sad or anything. It's the life, it's the experience that I've had and the life that I've lived. So, it's not a sore spot, but it's just one of those things where I think he means well, but you don't get to just you don't get to sweep the past under the rug and then just decide that now's the time where you can give me advice and I'm going to take it like it's father advice. So I'm looking forward to spending good quality time and building on that. But at the same time, before we can actually have a real relationship, we got a little answering to do here. We got some conversations we got to have. So regardless, we went there, had a good time. It was weird because we were chatting with a lot of, again, fish people. And I don't mean people who looked like fish. In fact, to be honest with you, for people who were part of a fish society, they were actually pretty normal looking. If I told you, hold on. Staying awake sauce. If I told you that we were meeting with a bunch of fish society people, you would think they got to be a lot of introverts. And I think, right? You think what a cat lady is, right? Cat lady, nobody calls somebody a cat lady in a positive way. Even crazy cat ladies are so fucking crazy they will call themselves cat ladies in a positive way. I'm a crazy cat lady. Not a compliment. So you got to imagine that you got to step down to go to a fish level. If you're a fish person, you're like, I don't want it to touch. I want to pet it. I don't know. How do you go, okay, I'm sticking with fish. I expected these people to be a lot of fucking weirdos and whatnot. They weren't too shabby. It was funny though, listening to them chat. It also helped break up the tension. Like I said, having conversation with my dad, because I chat a little bit, but we're having a meal together, but he's asking questions. He's learning from these people and he's gathering information. I listened as well. It was so funny too, because I'm listening to these guys. My dad's talking about, I think cherry shrimp is what they're called. Probably wrong. I don't care. And he's talking about how what to feed them. And one guy's like, oh, you got cherry shrimp. What you got to do is get some organic spinach. Okay. It's got to be organic because there's something in the regular stuff, that pesticides, whatever. And he's like, and then you blanch it. Okay. You blanch it and then find a nice, microwavable container. All right. You pack it in there. You pack it nice down and flat. Find something you can pack it in with, put it in the freezer, let it freeze. All right. Then when you're ready, you take it out of the freezer, take just a couple little pieces. All right. Just warm them up in your hands, just you break them up into little pieces or whatever. And then you feed it and I go like the fucking amount of meal prep for shrimp. I know guys that wouldn't do that kind of prep to cook a meal for their girlfriends. Yeah, open a can, you throw it in the microwave. Yeah, it's all done. I'm just listening to these, and then they're talking about other food prep and things that you can do for fish. I'm like, this is ridiculous. You guys could have real relationships if you applied these techniques to human beings. I don't know. It was just funny listening to the lengths that they would go fish. But I get it. It's a hobbyist thing, right? I would make fun of myself in a few minutes, but some of the shit that I would do for some of my hobbies. But it was just interesting to me listening to some of these people talk about, the lengths of fish. Apparently goldfish will eat the fuck out of plants. So if you try to have, plants in your aquarium, you got to go out of your way to buy spear plants or other things like that, because you'd put a plant in it and then you come back the next day and it's a fucking stick sticking out of it, the gravel at the bottom, because the fish have eaten all the leaves on it. Fucking goldfish are so stupid. They're orange too, like Trump. All right. Trump is a human goldfish. Yeah. So I apologize for all the ums and ahs again, guys. It's just trying to remember some of the funny stories heard that, but it was a good time. I had a good time with my dad. We didn't, have any super heavy conversations or anything like that. He had a good time. He got to ask some questions. Meal was fucking outstanding. They had bao buns, by the way. When I was balling up, Banh Mi Boys in Toronto, they had barbecue pork bows at Mandarin, which is like the fluffy marshmallow bread with the barbecue pork in it. Oh, it was good. Yeah, it was so tasty. I had a few of those. Anyways, didn't overdo it. Just so you know, I definitely ate more calories than, you'd have in a regular meal, but I was a good bitch in terms of buffet. Had a good amount, but showed some restraint. All in all, great night out with my dad. I got, Jay and I had ordered some new board games. Cause that's what I do, right? I'm a board game nerd now. And, we'd watched some videos online. We ordered, King of Tokyo and the King Kong expansion for King of Tokyo. For anyone who, cares to know and who may not, King of Tokyo is a great board game, great little party board game. It's basically Yahtzee, only instead of just rolling for dice combinations, you're basically like, Godzilla and King Kong and big monsters, sort of terrorizing Tokyo. But the dice you roll is to attack each other. And when someone gets a certain amount of points, boom, you're the King of Tokyo. And that's about it. I mean, super easy game to play. We ordered that. We ordered another dice game called Roll For It. And Roll For It is super easy. Everyone who plays the game gets a set of dice. And in the middle of the table is, a few cards. You roll the dice. If the dice you have add up to whatever's on that card in terms of, like, let's say you need to roll a 2, a 3, and a 5. If you roll your 6 dice and you get a 2, a 3, or 5, you can use those dice to buy that card. The points on that card become yours. A new card is flipped over, and so on and so forth. If you can't, use your dice towards any of the cards, you can actually take a few of the dice that you did roll and fill up some of those slots. You basically invest those dice in that card, roll again, try to finish them off. Just kind of like a Yahtzee game, but the idea is that the first person to complete all the dice on that card gets that card. So everyone's rolling for it, haha, like the title. And it's just a nice, simple little party game. Everyone gets to sort of roll. It's nice and easy, but social, competitive, first person to 40 points wins, right? And all the points are based on the cards. Got a game called Werewolf, which we played at my brother's house during that Christmas party. That was great. So that was just a fun little social deduction game. And then I got the what do you call it? Seafarers expansion for Catan. So just again, we're having fun. We're playing more and more board games here as a household. What else? What else we did? I'm going through the week here, having a peek and seeing what we did. We did the writing group. That's a fun little thing. I bought a voice recorder, guys, and I've been humming and hawing over doing it for a long time. I've been bitching and complaining that I don't write enough. Well, I bought a Sony voice recorder, and here's the thing. There's probably, just before I go too forward into that, there's a lot of you going, you have a voice recorder on your phone. I am aware of that, but all my ideas tend to come to me. I'm so scatterbrained. You guys know this by now, all the and I'll start telling you a story and I go down a million different roads and I probably never go back to the original thing that I was talking about. So a lot of my ideas, because of that scatterbrained nature of me just sitting down, it's hard for me to just sit and write. So what happens is a lot of my ideas come to me when I'm either playing a video game, because I'm, sort of mentally distracted in that and I can think more clearly. And alternatively, another place, the most common place for me to come up with ideas is when I'm driving. So my brain is somewhat distracted with the driving, and therefore the ADD, the attention is on the road and on the usually one train of thought that I'm having while in the car. The problem is when I'm driving, I don't know if you guys have this issue. You probably don't, because I seem to find issue with simple tasks. But if I'm driving and I go to I get an idea, I'm like, okay. And then I go to reach out to my phone that's in the mount or whatever and unlock it with my thumb. And I find that every time I do that, normally I have no issue whatsoever. But when I'm in a hurry, like, oh shit, it's not until I've already thought of a few lines, I start thinking about a subject and I'm just turning over and I'm fucking bitching about it or whatever in my head. And then once I've got, 5 or 6 things in my head, okay, no, this is funny. I gotta write this down. So I reach forward and try to unlock the phone and it jiggles. No, it won't work. Won't work. Okay. Okay. Click the fucking, type the password in. Okay. All the while watching the road back and forth to try to make sure I'm not fucking hitting anything or whatever. And then I go to open the voice recorder. And the voice recorder, I clicked oops, the wrong app above it. And then I try to back out, and then I go to click it again, and the screen slides down because it's a feature on Apple. If you double tap the button, touch it twice real quick, it slides down to make it easier accessible. So I miss and I hit something else. I got to back into that app, try to open it again. And I sort of get frustrated. Okay, fucking open up. All right, record. Yes, new recording, new name. Yes. So the idea is comics get it. I've talked to comics lots of times. They get it. But the idea is that when you're in a mindset of flow to you're just in this funny headspace where you're turning over an idea, when you stop and get frustrated and pissed off at something else, the energy has changed. And at that point, I've actually distracted myself with trying to get into this phone and start the app and start recording and all that shit, that not only has my energy changed, but I've forgotten all those 5 or 6, sentences or lines or whatever it is from the joke. And now I'm just sitting in the car like, fuck. Yeah, something about but the magic is gone. So the idea is you start to feel this flow. So I got myself a little handheld voice recorder. Reason being, I now carry it in my pocket, either my jeans or if I'm wearing a button up in my breast pocket. And the second I get an idea, I just pull it in my pocket, big red record button, and immediately start recording the ideas. It's safe. I hold it in my hand. I hold it in my hand when I'm driving, but I don't have to look at it. You know what I'm saying? Like I can hold it, I can drive, I can throw the ideas in, and then boom, saved. And it plugs into USB in the computer. I can just drag the audio files off and organize them and stuff like that later. But the idea is I don't lose the idea now. Sorry, I don't like using the same word twice in a sentence. I don't lose the premises. I don't lose the tags. I've even started to pull them out now and record jokes. I can even record my sets now. Again, something I could do before a little easier, but the idea is I'm just having an easier time to pull things out. And what it's doing is it's actually inspiring me to be more and more creative and to keep writing stuff. Because before I would just play with an idea and I would always tell myself, oh, that's a real good one. I'm going to remember it later. Guess what? I didn't. So to make a fucking really short story long and boring, I bought myself a voice recorder and I'm already seeing results. I've tried a few new jokes at a few different shows this week and written down some stuff. So I know next time we sit down and do a writer's group, I'm going to have some shit to contribute positively in terms of my own premises that I'm working on. And speaking of which, Thursday we did another writers group. We had back Mike and Vanessa, aka Regina Bianca, and we had Paul Crummy and Ben Hagel joined the group, as well as Kamar returned. So it was cool. Ben was here very, very briefly, more or less just to make an appearance. But, at one point we were 6 comics sitting down and pitching jokes and stuff. It was fun. Fuck, was it ever fun. Some great joke ideas. People had an opportunity to just sort of, pitch their shit and have everyone brainstorm it. Again, more heads better than one, still very well structured. Not to share too much. I don't like to share premises and shit like that of other people's until they've got it as a joke. All I can say is that this writers group is looking very promising. It's looking to be a positive thing. People are excited for it, always going, hey, when's the next one? It's a good thing. Got the recorder, got this. Guys, I might actually be being a fucking comedian again. Shit can happen. I might have some new goddamn jokes. So it was fun. I don't know. Friday, worked at the Source. Nothing new there. I remember I came home. I can't for the life of me remember what I did Friday evening. But the funny thing is I made my notes. I've also started doing that a little bit better too. Not to make this too just admin. This is what I did and I do this and that. What I mean is I've started writing down the notes every single day. So rather than doing my show notes, the hour or two before I record the podcast, and try to remember every day's events and every funny little thing, I've started doing it at the end of every day. Now, the last couple of days I've been so busy, which is why this podcast is being recorded so late. I just haven't had a chance to catch up. So I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. But Friday, went to work. I know I'm missing something Friday evening, but I just can't for the life of me remember what it was. And then I was up late playing Roll For It with Jay. That's the fun thing too. Is that after the writing group, I think I sat with Vanessa and we were just shooting the shit at the dining room table. Then Jay comes home drunk. He's like, "Hey, fuck it, it's fucking play that fucking game we bought. Let's play the fucking game." All right, then I'm up till 2:00 in the morning drinking with Jay and playing a dice rolling game. So again, good times. I am unapologetically enjoying the fucking nerdiness of board games. I went to see my brother at some point this week too, and I can't fucking remember what night that was. So, anyways, Saturday, what a great day. I did another promo. I worked for a great company called Karma Casting, and my job was to work with another gentleman who I met that day. Super good dude. Shout out to Nick. Not sure if he listens to the podcast. He took my card and started subscribing, but Nick and I were promo guys for a company called Greenies. A little shout out to Greenies. They are a dog toothbrush alternative. Not really alternative, but a secondary thing to brushing a dog's teeth. Just chews, called Greenies. Your dog chews them up. They brush his teeth. Bada bing, bada boom. Him and I were working in a PetSmart in Barhaven, just giving away free samples, educating people on the product and its value for the pets. The staff there was amazing. Shannon, the store manager, or at least I think she was the store manager, was super, super fucking cool. Outstanding, nice to us. A lot of fun too, like cool person. Like again, I do a lot of promos, work for a lot of companies. It's great when someone's kind and accommodating and everything like that, which Shannon was. But for me, there's an extra level of cool when not only are you professional and all that other shit, but you kind of let loose a little bit in the sense that like, you're cool. You can joke around. You can even drop the occasional F-bomb. Like, we're all humans. As long as you're working, be a fucking person. That's my go-to. So, it was just cool working with not only a good dude like Nick, but at the same time, a really cool store manager like Shannon. And, we had a great time. We sold them out of some stuff. Again, getting paid to be myself, to engage with people, have fun with pet owners. I'm a big animal guy. I think you guys know that by now. So, I love that kind of shit. I had to fucking pet dogs, give away free dog treats, and get paid really good money for it. So doing those promos makes me happy. I had a great time. And after that, young Mr. Brody had reached out to me that week and was looking forward to hanging out again. And I got to tell you, I love those kiddos. I love that kid. We came back to my place. He has not been here since I got my PlayStation VR, right? Which is another one of those promo campaigns that I was doing. And he had a blast. I put him in the fucking VR helmet. He played a bunch of different games. I had so much fun. And then he came with me to do a show in Perth, which was a fun thing too, because when he was younger, he came to a show at a restaurant one night, but I think he had some stuff to sort of occupy him. And I don't know if it was, he could enjoy the show as much as one would think because he was a little too young. I think he was 8 or 9 at the time. Now Brody's 13. He's a teenager. He gets jokes. He watched South Park and shit like that. Bob's Burgers. Like he gets jokes. So we drove out an hour away from home to do the show in Perth, organized by the same gentleman that does the Waterfront Gastropub show I did the previous week. And we get there, and it's 3 dudes at a bar, and then my fellow comedians. So we were like, oh, fuck, this is going to be a nightmare. But right before the show started, people came in, filled up a little area. It ended up being a really, really fun show. So it looked like it would be a nightmare. Ended up being a really fun show. We were there until 11 o'clock or so. I think it was a late starting show. So we were there till 11, maybe 11:30. Took forever to get home. An hour away drive in good conditions. I got stuck. It was snowing. Got stuck behind snow plows. Didn't get home until late. Brody slept the whole way back. But by the time we got back, he was awake again and wanted to play some video games. So that's what we did. We stayed up late. Played a great game called Overcooked, which is one that Chris had recommended and I bought based on his recommendation. And it had fun. It's basically just a kitchen runner game where, again, as I read Chris's email, you're running around and you're grabbing ingredients, chopping them up, frying them up, washing dishes. It's a kitchen simulator, but it was fun. And Brody and I, playing with 2 human beings, Brody and I were building strategies, and having a great time. Again, I miss that kid. And then we passed out watching Bob's Burgers, put on Bob's Burgers. We passed the fuck out. So I don't know. I had a great time. It was good to see the guy, dropped him off the next day, went to work, Super Bowl Sunday at the Source, which you would think under regular circumstances would be a quiet day, right? Everyone's getting ready for the Super Bowl. Nope. Our store was nuts busy. And for people who had no interest in the Super Bowl. So I guess pro tip, maybe if you are going to be going out, to do things, if there's a day where you want retail to yourself, maybe go Super Bowl Sunday, find an electronics store and have the place to yourself, because most people who are electronics fanatics will be watching. Well, that's a stupid connection to make. But let's say at least the vast majority of TV watchers will probably be watching the Super Bowl in some fashion or another, whether it's just for the halftime show or so that they can be relevant. I actually tried to get out of work at a half decent time so I could get home in time to watch just enough of the Super Bowl that I could comment on it. At this point, everyone knows, congratulations to the Eagles to be the second team to beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Fuck you and your fucking perfect face there, Tom Brady. I'm actually just happy for the Eagles fans, right? Philly winning in Philly. Good for them. But I hope I'm still right on that. I heard somewhere that they're playing in Philadelphia. I didn't get a chance to see any of it. And as usual, I didn't do any research to be 100% sure. I think I was talking to somebody today saying that if I ever do a comedy album, I'm going to just call it Opinions and Assumptions, because that's how I live my life. Not facts and information, opinions and assumptions. So anyways, congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles for winning Super Bowl, whatever number it is. Didn't research it. I think on Sunday night too, it was kind of cool to, like, when I got home, my whole intention all day was, like I said, to watch whatever was left of the Super Bowl. When I got home, I fucking totally forgot. I just went around doing chores, doing laundry, doing cleanup, notes, things like that, dusting. And I kind of enjoyed my life that evening to just slow pace, do some chores. Felt great. The Monday went to work, second last shift at the source. And then on Monday night, I did the Cracking Up the Capitol festival show, I should say, competition show. So there was 6 comics competing for, some spots for the final show right there. At the end of this whole competition, the winner, 2 winners, I believe, get to perform at a very large venue, TD Place here in Ottawa, for a mental health festival called Cracking Up the Capitol. And the 2 winners who moved forward the evening on Monday night there was my roommate Kamar Babar. He did a great job and moved forward, and the very funny Heather Hurst. So honestly, the 2 people who moved forward should have. A lot of comedy competitions, people are like, what the fuck was that? No, the right people were selected. Everyone did fantastic, but only 2 could move forward, and the right 2 did in fact do that. And then I was the feature act, right? So while the judges are deliberating, I'm supposed to be the nice palate cleansing sorbet, a little buffer entertainment, and I had a good time. I actually had a really good set. And for some reason, I don't know why, I took it upon myself to share some of my dating app woes with the crowd. Now, I'm going to share those with you guys. I don't know if they're going to be funny or not. In fact, the crowd did sort of turn on me a little bit because I guess what I said was considered quote unquote punching down. And I'll be honest with you, I think by now any of you guys who listen to me on a regular basis know I'm not a completely horrible person. You know, I do think stupid things sometimes and ignorant things, but I don't know. I think funny's funny. And sometimes just when you're venting your own shit, you're not exactly the most sensitive when you're frustrated. So I was talking about how I very briefly got on the dating apps after Crystal and I broke up. Again, getting to that point where I'm missing that vitamin love, you know, looking for some more human contact, just someone to snuggle because I'm a big teddy bear. You know, just missing that human contact, right? So yeah, a few times I, would jump on the old app and just, start swiping. But what I was doing was a complete piece of shit move. I actually believe subconsciously it's like I was looking not to match with anyone. Because like I said, the idea of meeting someone new and having to get to know a stranger and to have to, give up my vulnerabilities and expose my weaknesses and flaws. I'm not in a fucking hurry to do that again. Anyways, regardless, when I was on, Tinder, which is the only, the lazy person's app for finding love, I was only swiping right on like 9s and 10s. And someone was giving me shit the other day. You're not supposed to quantify people. Whatever. We know what I'm talking about, all right? The idea is the relatability. I was only swiping right on like 9s and 10s. So effectively chasing unicorns is all I was doing. And so obviously I was talking to, Josh, my manager at the source, and was like, hey dude, I have been on Tinder for, a couple weeks and I have had No matches whatsoever. Not a single match. And he goes, well, are you swiping right on everything? I go, no, I'm swiping right on. He goes, yeah, you're probably only swiping it on like the hottest chicks there. And I'm like, yeah, because everybody's shit at writing bios. And yeah, I'm probably self-sabotage too. He goes, here's what you need to do. You need to get on Tinder and just swipe right on everything. He goes, are you on Bumble? And I go, no, I don't know what that is. And he goes, oh, Bumble, there's no limit to how many swipes you can do in a day. So you got to get on Bumble too, right? Bumble's the shit. And just swipe right on everything. He's like, give me your phone. So we're at work, the source, right? In between battery sales. And he's just on my phone swiping right on absolutely everything. He goes, this is going to give you confidence, all right? This is going to make you feel good. You're going to start getting some matches. You're going to feel good about this. And he was right. In terms of getting matches, what I was getting, and I was telling this joke, obviously an abbreviated version. I'm just telling you guys the real story. I told an abbreviated, jokey version of this on Monday night. Was that I told him, I'm like, you know what? I was only swiping on 9s and 10s. So I had the denial in my head that, oh, there's probably some 4, 5, 6s and 7s who would match with me, but I'm just being an asshole and not seeing those, right? Because again, like I said, internally, I probably didn't want to talk to anybody or meet anybody new. But the funny thing to me was all the matches I were getting were like 1s and 2s. And even to the point where when I said this, Kamar came up to me after, Kamar of all fucking people. Funny dude, but he's just super raw. But even Kamar comes up to me and he's like, dude, you can't say 2s and 3s. Don't say 1s and 2s. You can't call another human being a 1. I'm like, well, fuck, I was kidding. But he's like, yeah, you can't, the crowd turned on you because you called them 1s. I'm like, I didn't. Anyways, whatever. I just thought it was funny to have my back. I appreciate it. He had my back, but it was just so funny that he's like, yeah, you can't call him. I'm like, Kamar, the things that you've called human beings. Anyways, I was just like, I was getting 1s and 2s as matches, guys. Like, I'm not even kidding. At one point I showed Josh my matches. I go, dude, this was supposed to make me feel confident. Now all I think, like, this is all I'm worth. I can't get a single 4 or 5. And I wasn't calling myself a prize at any point, but I was like, for Christ's sakes, like I go, can any of these women at least have their eyes pointing in the same direction? Is that not something simple enough that I could ask? You know, like I'm not a fucking prize, but for Christ's sakes, I wear it well. All right. Both my eyes point in the same direction. I comb my hair. I'm groomed. You know, I just, it was depressing. The idea is it didn't give me confidence. It made me think, oh, guess what? Not only do the 9s and 10s don't want you, but neither do the 8 through 3s. Nobody wants to even get to know your stupid fucking face, Josh, except for these people here. So I was telling the joke, and this is a true story. There was one person, and I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm not looking for these people and going, hey, you're fucking like there was one person who was a large lass, or whatever the politically correct term for me as a chick, but bigger, there was a picture of her next to a cow. And now I said this on stage, and I was like, I felt like a bad person for thinking it. I felt like a bad person for saying it out loud when Josh and the other staff members were asking me how things on Bumble were going. And I felt bad telling the crowd, but I just wanted to get it off my chest. I remember seeing this picture of one of these matches, right? Because he was swiping me on everything. And I just go, she's standing next to a cow. All right. Is that really the only thing that she could find to take a picture with that made her look like the skinny one? Are you fucking kidding me right now? And I apologize. I know it's punching down. I'm not trying to be a piece of shit, but I wasn't really coming at her. It was more of a sense of like, really, like, this is what the dating world thinks that like, that's my level. The cross-eyed people and the fucking, the farm. I don't know. Anyways, I got it out of my system. I thought there was a certain level of humor to it. I knew it was a gamble when I did it on stage, and the crowd appropriately didn't love what I was saying. I did get a few laughs, but I think I got laughs from other people who were equally pieces of shit. So either way, I got the dating shit out of my system. I've had those apps deleted off my phone for a very long time, but it's they're the worst. They're the worst. If you're listening and you ever go on those apps and you're like, oh, this is the place, what a piece of shit that fucking that thing is. It brings out I've said it before, it brings out the worst in humanity. It brought out the worst in me. just judge, like looking at somebody and judging them based on their picture. I don't know. Fuck. I don't like it. And I'm actually a little ashamed of myself that I was, telling those jokes. Creatively, my brain went to some interesting places, but it wasn't nice. It was punching down. All right. I'm a better human being now. I'm all better. I'm enlightened, getting it off my chest with you guys. I like holding myself accountable to you guys. You know what I mean? I get to a certain point and I go, all right, I don't feel good. I gotta put myself on trial here, and you guys will tell me if I'm a giant piece of shit or not. And again, random strangers that may come across this podcast and be the first ones like, this guy's got fucking issues with his dad and he's a piece of shit. So he loves animals, but he makes fun of human beings, and he's got an estranged. This is fucking crazy. I don't know why you guys still listen. Anyways, I did that. I redeemed myself with some other stuff afterwards, but I definitely hit a little thing with those dating jokes. And then today, or yesterday, I did 2 shows for Aviva during the day. I got to hang out with my buddy, gig as we call it in the business. I was gigging with my buddy Jeff McKay. I love working with Jeff. I've told you guys stories about me and Jeff doing gigs together. And I spoke with Jeff this evening, and I asked him if he wanted to do an interview, a bonus episode of the podcast. So now we're just going to try to find a time to make it work. But Jeff McKay, good buddy. We did 2 shows for Aviva, which is an auto insurance company. They were doing an appreciation for their brokers. So we did 2 shows for them at Local Heroes. So it was day gigs, right? Nooners, as we call them. We did nooners for Aviva. They were an interesting bunch. I mean, you can imagine, what a good sense of humor insurance brokers have. You know what I mean? I mean, these are the kind of people who, they're slightly more human than government employees, and that's about it. So they were fun. They were super, it took a little while, both shows, to get these groups out of their shells. But the organizer, she was outstanding. She was amazing. She was a great laugher. And they had fun. But it was just one of those, you're not in a comedy club. You're in a fully lit, windows open restaurant during the day. It's noon. These people have barely been drinking. They don't know what to expect. So Jeff and I, we had a good time. The crowd had a good time, but it's one of those gigs where it's going to be work, and it was. So we had 2 really good shows today. But I'm going to tell you guys a story that I've never told. This one I'm confident I've never told before. And as I say that, I'm losing confidence quickly, but I think I'm pretty damn sure I haven't told this story before. When I was in comedy, I may have mentioned that there was a week where I was trying to amalgamate all my notes. And I know that this took the wind out of my sail at one point in my comedy career, but I used to have all these notebooks when I first started doing comedy, and I would write a line in them, just one sentence that was the premise. And of course, over time, I would look at some of these lines and go, what was I talking about? And I also had multiple books. I also had I'd be at a restaurant and they have a paper, placemat or whatever. I'd flip it over, and if I got an idea, I'd grab the crayon or whatever was at the table or a pen and just write on the back of it, back of napkins and stuff. I had an idea, I'd just put it wherever, again, because I was hungry, I was ambitious. I wanted comedy to work. So at one point I had, a few different notebooks. I had all these, amalgamations of loose notes and stuff like that. I had them all together. So I put all of these things together, all these notebooks, whatever, in my backpack, and then bought myself a brand new binder, new paper. And my goal that week, even had my laptop, and I was spending a few days straight at Starbucks, doing, basically amalgamating all these notes into one new notebook. So I would take the 1-line premise and I would write it in there, but I would then put some notes point form. Not enough that anybody reading it could steal the joke, but enough that I would remember what the premise was and what I was trying to say with the joke. And I spent a few days copying all these notes, and I had so many different things. I would say I was probably 50% done, and then I had to go run the Open Mic Monday show. So I remember I came directly from Starbucks, had my laptop in my backpack, had all my notebooks plus my new notebook from comedy. So basically anything I'd ever written in the 3 or 4 previous years in stand-up comedy was in this backpack. I brought it into Open Mic Mondays, and I remember putting it in this little corridor between the kitchen and the showroom. And in my head, I remember thinking, you know what? I can't just leave this here. I'm going to go put it in the car so it won't get stolen. And I really, honestly, truly cannot remember the circumstances, but at the time, that day, I was using Crystal's car. And I I went out and I put my thing in the car, my backpack, and I put it on the passenger seat. And I don't know, again, didn't think of it, but my cars have always had very darkly tinted windows, so you can't see inside them. Crystal's car did not. So I had a backpack brimming with stuff in it. And it was on the passenger seat, and I think you already know where I'm going with this. I came out after the show, and the passenger window, I believe, or driver's window had been smashed, and the backpack was gone. And I just remember thinking, like, oh, you fucking kidding me? Like, the value of what was in those notebooks was zero to anybody but me. You know what I mean? Like, basically every note, every idea I'd ever written was in that bag. And I remember the next day I sat down with a piece of lined paper and I tried to write as much down as I can remember. And I think I got a page, and there must have been over 100 pages in total in that thing. So I was just like blown away. Like, I know that I had notebooks where every single line on a page would be a different premise. You know what I mean? So just thinking like 100 pages with, 50 lines on each page. That's how many joke ideas and stuff like that. So that hit a particular low point for me in my comedy career, just because I was like, fuck, everything I had was in there, yada, yada. But that particular story for another day, and coming back from that, I remember calling, my auto insurance company, or sorry, I should say Crystal's auto insurance company, because it was her car. And they said that that's not something covered. So this is the part where I give you guys the information for yourselves to protect yourselves and tell you this story. I remember we called the auto insurance company, and the auto insurance company said that when something is stolen out of your vehicle, it's actually not covered under your auto insurance policy. It's covered under your home insurance policy. So just in case anyone doesn't have a home insurance policy, know that if anything happens to your car in terms of theft, you are not covered. It might be different for my listeners internationally, but in Canada, that's my understanding based on everything that the insurance companies told me. So despite the fact that I live with Jason, I do in fact have a home insurance policy just to protect my car in the event that ever happens again. So I have home insurance to cover anything that's stolen out of my car anywhere in the country. So I called the home insurance company, and I was saying, hey, that my car got broken into, and they stole my backpack that had all my, had my laptop in it, all my comedy notes, everything like that. And I can't remember if it was, if I got a call back or if I spoke to this person right away, but I spoke to I believe he said it was an insurance adjuster. I believe that's the title. I just want to let you guys know that I'm not 100% and I don't want to be, condemning anyone with that particular title, but this is what happened. So the guy's like, oh shit, all your comedy. I'm like, yeah, my whole career was in there. My whole comedy career was in there in terms of all the jokes I've ever written and everything like that. He's like, oh shit, so you're a comedian, eh? And he goes, yeah. I go, yeah. He goes like, that's your business? And I'm like, well, it's my business, which at the time I was making a little bit of money in comedy, but not much. You know what I mean? A couple under the table shows here and there, but nothing to call a career. But fuck, you work it towards it, right? Fake it till you make it. So at the time in my head, I'm like, yeah, like that's my career. That's what I'm working for. I'm not working a day job. I'm putting everything I got into comedy. So he's like, oh shit. And he's like, did your laptop have comedy stuff on it too? And I was like, yeah, like the posters and stuff like that for shows that I'm doing, like it's fucked. He goes, oh, okay. Well, since comedy's your business and your laptop had business stuff on it and your notes were business, that all falls under business. And since you don't have business insurance, we're not going to be able to help you out. And that's a little bit of an oversimplification in terms of the whole situation. But what he said was that blunt. And what he did just, at the time when seconds after, you know what I mean? We're talking a minute into the conversation. I was able to immediately retrace every question he asked me and saw how he led me down that road to deny my claim, And I remember just being blown away by are you fucking kidding me, dude? I'm like, this happens to me. And I'm like, I pay you every month for insurance and you find a way to deny me my claim. Like that's, by the way, a job for insurance companies. All right. Those guys make so much fucking money. Anyone who doesn't know how much money insurance companies makes, like them and oil companies basically report ridiculous profits. All right. They're not like, they're doing okay. They're staying like they nothing but profit basically. And the idea is that there's people whose job it is to find a way to deny you your claim. So again, you're paying for something you don't get most of the time that you hope you never need. But the idea is that when you do need it, there's actually a person who gets up every day and probably puts on a suit, has a cup of coffee, and goes to work to fuck people over at their time of need. And that's what this piece of shit does for a living. And there's other people too. You may know someone. Like I said, his position was called an insurance adjuster. Very cute title for someone who basically looks at your policy and goes, all right, what way can I find to make this deny? And like I said, this guy walked me down this path and said, like, was your like your, like I said, he's like, oh, your comedy is comedy your business? Like, he led me to saying it's business. Then he led me to say that everything that I had in the bag was towards business. Like, do you have any of this? Is that your business? Did you use that for like your business stuff was on? Did you have any comedy stuff on that? So like he basically made it so that everything I had was unclaimable. I don't have business insurance, but it's all business stuff, so it's no longer coverable. So I got pissed and I was like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? I go, I pay like a good customer. I go, I barely like $1,500 worth of stuff. And you're looking, I go, this is special. This is what I told him. I said, there's a special place in hell for people like you. You get up, I hope you're happy when you get your fucking paycheck, man. Because I mean, again, I was angry. I don't really react that way often. And of course, this is going back a few years, but it blew my mind that somebody, like, again, like I'm the client, and that you could do that. You could actually try to fuck somebody over and deliberately look for a way to find someone in their time of need when they're hurting the most and they need you the most, to be like, yeah, that's my job. I'm the guy who fucks you out of your claim. I'm the guy who tells you, yeah, we don't cover that. So anyways, I got upset and I said, there's a special place in hell for you. And I hung up the phone. And, I remember he called me not long afterwards and was like, we're going to have to find a way to resolve this. But if you talk to me like that again, then we're done. And I go, look, dude, I go, I know what your job is. All right. And I'm telling you right now, I go, comedy. I go, you led me down there. It's not personal. It's my job. I go, yeah, dude, it is personal. If you make a decision to look for a way to harm me, you're doing your job, quote unquote. I go, you're going out of your way, all right, to find something. You led me down there, all right? This is personal to me now. You tricked me into basically calling all this stuff. I go, first off, my laptop is my laptop, okay? It's the only computer I have. So yeah, if I want to make a poster for a show that I'm going to be on, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to buy a separate computer and be like, well, this is my personal computer and this is my business computer. You know what I mean? I've Googled all sorts of different things that could be for business. That doesn't mean just because I've done that, it's now a business, laptop. I go, first off, and I don't make any money from comedy. I go, I've had zero paychecks from comedy, which is bullshit. We get paid cash on the table, right? I've told you guys that before. But I go, I've made zero income from comedy. This is what he says to me, like 10 minutes after the first time he spoke to me. He goes, well, you have t-shirts on your website. You're selling things. You're making money from comedy there. I go, I've sold zero. Not bragging, but thank God. I go, I've sold zero t-shirts from that website. I can go to the PayPal account that's linked to and show you zero transactions from my website. So I've generated absolutely no money. It is a hobby. And I go, second of all, I can fucking sell anything I want online. It does not mean I'm a business. If I sell something on Kijiji, I'm not automatically a business. You have a garage sale, you're not a fucking business. Sorry guys, I'm getting a little fucking heated right now. I'm getting a little fucking angry here. So I was just like, I can prove I've made no money from comedy and I've sold nothing off my website. I go, I'm a hobbyist. And yeah, I called it a career because I take it seriously and I work very hard on it. But I've made no money. It is not a business to me whatsoever. I go, my laptop is personal. So at that point, I fucking hate this guy. And, the idea is at that point, all I was claiming was my laptop and a few binders. And then he went on to tell me about depreciated value and all that other stuff. And then over the next day or so, I not only did I prove that none of that stuff was for business, but I also remembered a lot of other things that were in my bag too, like spare pairs of glasses and, extra chargers for phones and all sorts of things like that. that were in there as well. Whereas before I was just really focused on the binders and the laptop. So needless to say, I ended up getting a check from the insurance company that was just enough to cover a brand new laptop. So that's how that worked out. But if you're ever in that situation, I have no idea how long I've been talking about this story, and I apologize. It's heated because it was really, really fired me up. Like I said, there's another whole story about how long having all that shit stolen fucked with me mentally, for comedy and everything like that, and just made me feel like I'd lost everything I'd worked on. Maybe a story for another day or never. But for yourselves, if you ever end up in a situation, your car is not covered. Someone breaks into your car and steals something, it is not covered under your auto. It is covered under your home insurance. So make sure you have home insurance, or you could have a really shitty day. If something like that happens, you have a shitty day twice. And if you're ever speaking to those people, watch out. Watch out for any insurance company, okay? Because that person who calls you or that you're speaking to is not your friend, all right? That person usually has a job. They're looking for a way to not pay you the money or whatever it is. So if they say, "Hey, are you in business?" Just be careful. Know that, don't answer their questions too broadly. If they're like, "Oh, is it business?" No, it's not business. What do you do for a living? Doesn't really matter. Shit was in my car, Let's talk about what was in the car, So just if that helps you guys in the slightest. But the reason I brought that up is that this company that I did the show for today, they actually hired me a couple of years ago to do, a few years back to do a show for them. And they were the same insurance company, and they were a room full of adjusters. Not the one that I am talking about was not there. But it was a really shitty. It was a fun time, but I told that story that night very briefly and said how much I hate the fact that that's what adjusters do, and that's what their job is. And then they told me that there's a bit of a difference. There's some adjusters who do some things, some adjusters who do others. Anyways, long story short, when I did the show today, they said, "We remember you. We saw you a couple of years ago." And I proceeded, I apologize to them because I take my job very seriously as a comedian. Not seriously, I don't take myself seriously, but just in the sense that I'm getting paid for a service, regardless of whether or not it's fun and all this shit. At the end of the day, I'm being paid for a service. And the fact that, not long after it, I happened to have an opportunity to perform for the very people that I was upset with, that I felt wronged by. I actually told the story, told them how upset I was. And then when they were just staring at me afterwards, I go, "Yeah, you guys are looking at me funny." Yeah, it's kind of funny when you, pay for something and don't really end up getting what you pay for, eh? I'm like, just like, paying for insurance and having someone try to fuck you out of it. But it was unprofessional of me. And I told her, I apologize. She's like, no, we still had fun. We remember that story. I'm like, okay, well, I apologize for that. And again, it's the same thing, just holding my feet to the fire, telling you guys that. But long story short, I did have 2 great shows today with my buddy Jeff McKay, and they were very, very happy. When I was thinking about that today, I thought, you know what, I should share that story with you guys just to see if there's any way I can save you the trouble. Oh, this podcast is me just yakking and not really going anywhere. Sorry, gang. It's the late night thing again. I do apologize. I really do want to make me doing this podcast earlier a more regular thing. Anywho, I did not have a bad day. I had fun. Then I went out to, what did I do? I went out to find, this is the thing I was talking about, making fun of myself, right? Making fun of the fish people. I went out to find sleeves for just a regular card kind of board game called Sushi Go. And what are sleeves? Well, they're little plastics that you can put on your card. Little card condoms. The reason being is I have roommates, and when we play, we drink. And when we drink, we spill things. Or we just eat pizza and get grease all over everything. So the card sleeves, you put your cards in the sleeves and you can wipe them down afterwards. Or if somebody spills something on them, they don't get destroyed and all that other shit. So that's my nerdy thing, is not only do I buy board games, but I buy sleeves, and they have all these different kinds of sleeves available at all sorts of different stores, and they have dimensions, and they're not cheap, but whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's my nerd thing. So I knew I was doing these 2 shows for the insurance company out in Bell's Corners portion of Ottawa, and there happens to be a gaming store out there called Kobold's Corner. Now, I called this morning while I was driving to the gig and said, "Hey, do you guys carry, these whatever card sleeves, what have you?" And they said, yes. I'm like, perfect. I'm looking for this kind. They go, yep, we have those. And I was like, cool, coming to be in the area. Jeff and I had a show at noon. We had another show at 2. So the first show ended a little late. I spoke to the organizer, said, we're going to step out for a minute. We're going to drive down the road and we're going to come back. Cool beans. So I drive down there. My gas light comes on because I just forgot to fill it up. And I'm like, shit, I'm going to need to get gas too before we get back. The funny thing, well, it's not funny at all. We get there. We're very limited on time. I asked the guy, I go, hey, I'm the one who called. He goes, yeah, absolutely. Walks me over to the rack. And he's like, oh, I guess we're sold out. I was like, dude, I called you. I called you. I told you it was coming. You said you had them. Yeah, well, we usually do. I guess I didn't look. And again, human beings, we make mistakes. But isn't that like, again, you could go on someone's website and be like, oh, it's something they carry. But when you call a place, all right, and I get it. I wasn't in there first, but you know, if I was bitching that nobody answered the phone, different story, I think, because you know, when I work at the source, the phone rings, I don't answer it. I'm not a model employee, and this is at the end of the day probably the universe just, you know, getting me back for it. But I went in. He answered the phone. He told me they had them. We get in, we don't have them. So I'm like, dude, why the fuck? I said very politely, I was like, oh, well, you know, I called you earlier. Had I known you didn't have any in, I wouldn't have just drove in. He's like, well, no, I thought we had them. So I'm fairly certain that it's safe to say that that's kind of unacceptable. Regardless, Jeff and I left very annoyed because I'm like, I didn't nerd rage. All right. I was just, all right. So we'll go back and do another show. I'll find somewhere else. My brother, I just reached out to him and said, hey man, where else is there in this city that I can get some? Because the only other place that I've ever bought stuff like that has been across the street from where I work in Plasterleens. And that was the complete opposite end of the city from where I was. And I wasn't going to make a trip all the way out there for, you know, stupid card sleeves. So my brother happened to mention there's a place downtown that he was going. I was just like, cool, here's some money. Can you pick them up for me? Bada bing, bada boom, got that shit dealt with. I just think like it just really miffed me. It really miffed me that you can call a place, talk to somebody. They're like, yeah, you go, cool, I'm coming in. I'm going to be around this time. I just got to fit it in, squeeze it. Yeah. Come on in. We got them. And then they don't have them. I know I sound old, but it's just surprising to me that people just don't give a shit to that level. Like as much as I'm a lazy employee who didn't give a fuck, I still help the people that were there. And if I did answer the phone and I spoke to someone, I'm not going to put something, you know, I'm not going to tell somebody I'm going to put it aside for them and it's not there. I'm not going to check inventory and lie to them about the inventory. You know, in fact, I would do the opposite. Is if our inventory said we had 2 of something, I would say, you know what? I don't see them. But rather than going, they're probably here somewhere, come on in, I would go, you know what? There's discrepancies sometimes. Odds are we don't have it. We're a small store. You could order it online, blah, blah, blah. Just to provide a better customer service, right? At the end of the day, I am a consumer. So whatever you get from me, I would want, you know, to get back in exchange. The golden rule, right? I call a place, they don't answer. I can go in or go fuck myself, you know? Whatever. It bothered me that, you know, you tell someone, okay, I'm coming in, and you go, all right, great, I'll see you then. And you don't have what I'm looking for. Like, why let me come in, waste the gas? Anyways, whatever. It's not a big deal. We're over the hour mark and I'm bitching about fucking dildo-ish card sleeves. My fucking board games are going to get greasy. Making fun of fish people. I'm a fish people. I'm a board game fish people. So yeah, did that. I got a haircut this afternoon at House of Baron. You know, been a long time since I bought a $50 haircut. Got to say, it's probably the most expensive haircut I ever got in my life. Does it look like the most expensive one? No, looks like the same ones I get. Bragging about my $10 haircuts in Kingston. I'm telling you right now, with what I paid, I could have filled my tank, drove to Kingston, got exactly what I wanted, given someone 100% tip, made their fucking day, and come back. But they did a great job at House of Baron. That's just the way it is. You go to a fucking hipster place to get a hipsterish haircut, and they charge you hipster fucking prices. I got the tapas of haircuts. You know, I was still hungry afterwards for a better. No, I'm kidding. I made wine today. That's right. I'm a connoisseur of wines. I went to Musca Wines and Musca Wine, and I got a thing there. It was great. A friend of mine's family owns it, so I decided to go there. I checked out. I saw a promotion of theirs on Facebook, so I'm going to be a little kind of all over the map here with this one here, only because they took such good care of me. that I want to give them a free plug. So if you guys have a second, if you've never made wine before, it's pretty fucking great. I've done it twice before. I found Groupons and stuff like that. So most of my Ottawa listeners, you can go right to Muska and make your own wine. And I think I'm making it for like $4 a bottle. I'm getting like 48 bottles. I'm making it for $4 a bottle. Amazing. And a lot of times, the other 2 times I did it before, you basically buy a package. You choose the wine that you want, and then they make it from concentrate. So they basically pour a bunch of concentrated juice into a bucket, and then they fill up the rest with water. So just like when you're making orange juice from concentrate, it's fucking concentrate and water. All right? Pour in some yeast, come back in a month, it's going to be wine. Well, I saw that Muska was having a sale on the concentrate stuff, and they were saying to me when I went in there, when I asked them about it, originally I'd asked my friend about it, and she said, well, don't get it now. Okay, get it in 2 weeks, because we're going to do one on the juice. So rather than it being a concentrate, it's just going to be the straight up grape juice. You add the yeast to it to ferment it, and then that's it. You're getting like way better quality wine, and it's on sale. So I was like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. Let's do it with the juice. So that sale came on today. I saw it on Facebook, and I was like, boom, I'm pulling the trigger on that shit. Like I said, it works out to about $4 a bottle, all said and done. And I went to check it out. So they were showing me the facility. They were showing me all the different processes and everything like that. They actually sent me home with a bottle of their Chardonnay too, which was super, super nice of them. But the idea was they were explaining to me the differences between doing it in concentrate and with the grapes, the different kinds of wine. So they have a special on right now. I'm giving them a free plug because they were amazing human beings. I made absolutely no mention of my podcast or any promotional things whatsoever. So I want you guys to know that I am doing this merely just because they were so good. So informative, and I believe that it's a better quality product than a lot of the stuff that's out there, because again, they mentioned that a lot of the concentrate wine places, like they're one of the few ones that'll actually do it with the juice, like the pure juice. But if you do, if you check them out, okay, so first off, go to their website, okay, muska.com, musca.com. All right, they do have a promotion right now for the juices. Okay, so it's $69.99 for 24 bottles. All right, and stand by, because I did not get the 4. They've got 5 different kinds of wine that you can choose from right now. So it gets you 24 bottles of wine. Okay, you basically go in, choose it, put the yeast in, and then set it up for a month. A month you come back and you bottle your wine when it's ready. And of course, it is loading as slow as humanly fucking possible. So I decided I wanted to do a batch of white and a batch of red. All this is driving me bananas right now. It's like I got the goddamn in there. Now I had to turn off the goddamn Wi-Fi for it to work. Okay, so right now it's the on-site fresh winemaking sale, and the wines that are available. Okay, so I'm gonna read this right from the website. Why not give it a full plug? So this promotion includes making of the product, all corks and fees, makes 24 bottles of finished wine. For added flavor, aroma, and tannin, some fresh juices are fermented with oak. Your choice of 2 reds and 3 whites, such as the red wines, you can get the Ruby Cabernet, which is what I got, or the California Red. The white wine selections are the Vintage White, Chenin Blanc, I think I'm saying that right, Chenin Blanc or Chenin Blanc, and French Colombard. Okay, so I had asked them their recommendation because I like Cabernet Sauvignon, so they had recommended me to the Ruby Cabernet. And for whites, I do tend to like Pinot Grigios and Vidals. They had recommended to me the Chenin Blanc. So I got that. I'm looking forward to it. It only takes 10 minutes to make when you're there. So you could pop in, pay your deposit, just throw your yeast in your wine. Boom. You can even visit it like a code on layaway. And basically, it's ready for 30 days. This offer is available until February 17th. Okay, so if you want to ask them any questions and you're in the Ottawa area, you can call 613-235-5050. They'll give you some more details and shit like that on that. So it's great. $69.99 plus HST for 24 bottles. So that's a pretty fucking good deal. And like I said, they're great people there. That's for the juice. Okay, that's not the concentrate sale. That's actually getting it from it's effectively just the grape juice squeezed, boom, fermented. There's your bottles of wine. So I'll give you guys more information on that when I get my wine and how it is and all that shit. But just for what it's worth, that sale will be over by the time I get my wine. So check out musca.com, musca.com. And, if you guys are wine drinkers and you want to save some money on wine, it's a great, great sale. And that's about it. That's in terms of that. So I got to go hang out with them today, checked out their place, spoke with the owners, amazing people. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's something, I've been talking to you guys about how we've been drinking a lot of wine, doing the wine promos and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I'm excited to try the quality. I was very happy with the wines that I had bottled at other places before, but again, I made them from concentrate. So I'm also very happy with this. I'm looking forward to seeing what it actually tastes like, getting it with just the juice. So musca.com, one last time. Check out their special, guys, and save some money on wine. What else did I do? Oh, and I did a spot at Absolute Comedy tonight, right? I had a good time. After doing those 2 insurance shows that were, like I said, work, I did a show myself. Jeff was also on the show. Kamar was on the show tonight. Brendan McKeegan was on the show. Danny Polachuk was on the show. He was the host. Brendan McKeegan was the headliner. And who else was on tonight? I believe, was Heather on? Heather Hurst was on the show this evening as well. So it was a fucking great show for a Tuesday night at Absolute Comedy. I dicked around. I didn't really do any new material. The crowd was so much fun. And I did incredibly well. So just, again, happy to be doing a lot more comedy, guys, going out, seeing people, having some fun times. Again, just being a comic, it's fun. I wanted to tell you guys a couple little things too before I jump into the sponsorship section. So I remember, I think last Thursday or Wednesday, Jason was playing his Arizona Sunshine game, which is a virtual reality game where you're shooting zombies. Zombies are coming at you from all over the place. And I think before I left for dinner with my dad, I was getting ready to go into the bathroom, and I see Jason just spinning around, going, Jesus Christ, the fucking zombies coming at me everywhere. Fucking zombies. Jesus Christ, coming goddamn everywhere. The way Jay talks was stuttering. He's like, holy fuck. But I see he's got the helmet on, and he's sort of circling around himself because there's zombies coming at him from everywhere. And he just turned the right way where he had his back to the door. Because once you're in VR, I don't know if you guys ever played it, but if you're in VR, after enough turning around and stuff, you sort of disorient yourself. You disconnect from where you were standing in the actual reality. So before you know it, you just don't know what way you're pointing, but you're just looking in the game. So Jay had his back to the doorway, and he's got zombies. And I can see, if I walk into the room, I can see on his monitor what he's seeing. So there's zombies coming at him from everywhere, and he just happened to lean forward enough and have his complete back to me that as zombies were surrounding him, I grabbed him by the shoulders and bit him on the fucking back, right in the neck muscles, right? So I just grabbed him and bit him right in the back of the neck, and he screamed. I wish I'd filmed it. But the idea is he's just been around, Jesus Christ, fucking zombies coming around, and I just grabbed him, bit him, he's, yeah! It's so funny. I'm not going to assume you had to be there. It was fucking hysterical. I laughed so fucking hard, and I will now lock the door every time I play VR because I totally deserve it. It's coming back my way. I know it for sure. And I also did something kind of cool. Okay, so one of the nights this week, I decided to watch Limitless. It's on Netflix, recently added. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's Bradley Cooper, Robert De Niro. It's a movie about a drug that unlocks your mental capacity, you know what I mean, to access memories or your mental potential. And the idea is just, it's a drug he takes, it expands his mind, and like all of these movies, after a while it becomes, addictive, and then it turns out there's side effects, and yada, yada, yada. How far will you go? Crime, yada, yada, yada. Good movie. But I was going to watch it, and I think Kamar had his TV up way too fucking loud. And so for whatever reason, I was like, oh, my AirPods. I think I can Bluetooth these to my Apple TV. So I took them out, and first thing in settings was Bluetooth. As soon as I opened up Bluetooth, my AirPods were sitting right at the top. I clicked connect, and it was super cool. My AirPods connected immediately. Again, this is not super interesting technology, but in terms of you put your TV on, you can't just connect your fucking wireless earbuds to it. You might need a dongle or something like that. So the idea that I could just turn on my Apple TV, hit pair, and they were paired and working. So I'm sitting in my room. I'm not bothering anybody. I'm watching my movie with my earbuds in. And what was super cool is, I may have mentioned this before when I first got them, but if you're listening to something with your AirPods and you take one out of your ear, like you're trying to hear somebody or whatever, it automatically pauses the music for you. At one point watching this movie, I remember thinking, oh, did I hear somebody come into the house or whatever? And I went to pull the earbud out of my ear just to hear, and it paused the movie. I thought that was so fucking cool. I was like, that is just wicked. The idea that, you might be distracted and it pauses it automatically for you instead of missing a key moment or a reveal or something like that. And I was like, oh, isn't that fucking cool? Put it back in my ear, resume the movie. It just knows when these things are. So again, another testament to how fucking cool Apple products are. I know I'm a fruit slave, but you know what? That was a really cool thing. And I'm going to continue enjoying being a fruit slave because there are a lot of perks. Haha. What else? I think I had one more thing I want to tell you guys. Oh, heard a great line from Jeff today. He was talking to me. He said he thinks it's a Bill Murray quote, which I will say right away. I think that there's a lot of things that people attribute to Bill Murray that are not fucking Bill Murray. They may have been a line that he said in a movie or something, which means somebody else wrote it. All right. Bill Murray's getting a lot of credit. Yeah, he's an eccentric guy, but not everything he says is mega fucking wise. All right. I think he's getting a lot of credit for writers that we've never heard of. Regardless, he was telling me that this is Bill Murray quote where he says, I don't trust people who who don't like dogs. For fuck's sakes. This one I'll have to Google. I just don't want to fuck it up. But what is it? I seldom trust for fuck's sakes. You guys let me stammer while I'm trying to remember who don't like dogs while I Google it. Yeah, I think it's like what the fuck? Yeah, here it is. Okay. I'm suspicious of people who don't like dogs, but I trust a dog when it doesn't like a person. And so saying Bill Murray on Twitter. He's just quoting it. That doesn't mean he's the one who fucking came up with it. But yeah, I'm suspicious of people who don't like dogs, but I trust a dog when it doesn't like a person. And I agree. I agree with that. Dogs have that inherent skill to just know when someone's a piece of shit. And so while I'm on this path to enlightenment that I happen to be on, that's what I hope to achieve. I don't want to be like my own assessment is like, no, I'm good now. I'm a great person. I aspire to be trusted by all dogs. I think that's a very good way to be. I'm going to be like, all right, when I get to a point where I can walk by any dog and it's just always excited to see me, this is a good fucking guy. That's when I'll know that I've made it. I've become a good person. And then I can just sit around and masturbate all day. Wanting to develop myself. What are you talking about? What do you mean work on myself? All these dogs love me. I don't get a single growl. Let's go to the dog park. I'll show you. That's what you should do, ladies. You want to know if you find a good guy, or even guys. Maybe your chick's a bitch. We take this shit a lot, but I'm just saying, there's bad women out there too. Go to a dog park and see how that person is with dogs. And if the dogs, if they're trying to pretend like, oh my God, I love dogs. Let's go play with the dogs. There's a lot of New Jersey chicks in Ottawa. But you know what I mean? Let's go play with the dogs. And all of a sudden the dogs are apprehensive of them and they don't want to go near them or they growl at them. Then that person's got something they're hiding. Some skeletons in the closet. Anyways, that's just the things I wanted to talk about this week. And as always, guys, I do have sponsors on the show. Hour and 20 minutes. I was trying to make it short because I'm fucking exhausted. But, I had some stories to tell, and I hope you're still with me. I hope you guys were listening. I apologize for the low energy on this podcast. We're going to figure out, we're only 39 episodes in. We got 61 more to go before I hit that 100 mark and expect to actually have a fucking format to the show. But as it stands, I do have amazing, amazing partners. And as always, my partners from Portable Press, Uncle John's Bathroom Readers, portablepress.com for all of their selection. Today, I have picked an article, a one-pager called Wordplay, from Uncle John's second bathroom reader, going way, way back to the late 80s for an article in this one. This one's called Wordplay. And it says, in the first bathroom reader, we supplied the origins of familiar phrases. Here are some more. So, to steal someone's thunder, the meaning, to preempt, to draw attention away from someone else's achievements in favor of your own. The background of it is English dramatist, English dramatist. I don't know how to say that word right. That's not in one of these books. English dramatist John Dennis invented a gadget for imitating the sound of thunder and introduced it in a play in the early 1700s. The play flopped. Soon after, Dennis noted that another play in the same theater that was using his sound effects device. He angrily exclaimed, "That is my thunder. By God, the villains will play my thunder, but not my play." The story got around London, and the phrase grew out of it. Pay through the nose. To pay a high price, to pay dearly is the meaning of that, but the background comes from 9th century Ireland. When the Danes conquered the Irish, they imposed an exorbitant nose tax on the island's inhabitants. In quotation here, they took a census by counting noses and levied oppressive sums on their victims, forcing them to pay by threatening to have their noses actually slit. Paying the tax was paying through the nose. Happy as a clam. The meaning, blissfully happy, perfectly content. The background, the original phrase was happy as a clam at high tide. Why at high tide? Because people can't dig clams out then. They're safe and happy until low tide, when their breeding grounds are exposed. The saying was shortened through use. And finally, to lay an egg, which means to fail. Background, from the British sport of cricket. When you fail to score, you get a 0, which looks like an egg. The term is also taken from baseball, where a 0 is a goose egg. And the running foot at the bottom of the page is there are more cars in Southern California than there are cows in India. And that is Uncle John's bathroom reader for this week. Wordplay. I'll try to find more of those wordplay articles because I do like little things like that, like where do sayings come from? And again, always a good reason to read these books because you never know what kind of little funny stories or trivia or things you're going to learn. You can check out portablepress.com and find all the different bathroom readers that Uncle John makes. They have thematic ones that are history, things that are science-based, things that are nature-based. All sorts of goofy shit and interesting information. So please check that out, guys. They are a great partner. And, a lot of people, tell me what you think, guys. And please know that I have thousands of articles and of things about it because I have dozens of the books and they're only 500 pages each. So I have thousands of little articles. If you guys want me to read something from a particular type of category or something like that, or if there's one that you like, let me know. Contact at onemanpodcast.com and I will look for articles of those type. I would love nothing more than to please you guys by selecting the subject matter that you're most interested in. And of course, if there's something that you want, go out and fucking buy it. All right. These books are great. You can have whatever you want at your fingertips and you won't be limited to just one article per week. As always, too, my partners at Absolute Comedy, I've been doing a lot of work with and for them lately. So if you guys are still some of those people who live in the Toronto, Kingston, or Ottawa area and have not seen Absolute Comedy, don't miss your opportunity to go out and have a great night. I'd say miss your opportunity. They're there. But at the same time, treat yourself to a great night of laughs. All right. You might even see yours truly there.
Absolute Comedy is the best live stand-up comedy from across North America with locations in Kingston, Toronto, and Ottawa, Ontario. These comedians have been featured on Just for Laughs, Netflix, Comedy Central, CBC's The Debaters, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Conan, The Comedy Network, and much, much more. Go to absolutecomedy.ca to see this week's lineup. Planning a night out is easy with dinner and show packages available at all locations. Live comedy is a great choice if you're organizing a celebration, fundraiser, company outing, or corporate event. Want the show brought to you? They'll send comedians to your venue with performances tailored to your event, creating a night of laughs your guests will love and won't soon forget. So for showtimes, ticket prices, gift certificates, special shows, and more, head to absolutecomedy.ca. Again, that's absolutecomedy.ca for the best live stand-up comedy from across North America.
And we're back. I actually, another happy thing for me is I'm going to be, as things continue to go well for me health-wise, I am enjoying occasionally on these board game nights, sipping on a Summersby. I limit it to just one. I know there's a lot of sugar in it, but I do have the semi-dries, which is less sugar, and I do love me a Summersby. So, I've spoken with the rep and, there's another little shipment with my name coming on it. So I also want to know what you guys think. There was a period of time when this podcast first started that people were, tagging pictures of themselves enjoying a Summersby. Are you guys still enjoying it? Have you guys tried this semi-dry yet? So for your friends and guests that, may have found the original too sweet, not everybody likes a sweet Summersby. So maybe you just want a sweet Summersby, a semi-sweet Summersby. I love to see what you guys are thinking of the products and stuff like that. I love the fact that you're trying them. So send me some more of that shit because I love to see it, and so do Summersby.
The sun gives life to the orchard. The orchard gives life to the apple. The apple gives life to Summersby. Summersby is a delicious sweet taste of sunshine, imported across the ocean all the way from Denmark. The people in Denmark are smarter, and so are you, if you drink Summersby. With flavors like apple, blackberry, pear, elderflower lime, red rhubarb, and a taste as regal as this fake accent, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And now you can try them all in the Summersby Mixer Pack, available wherever fine beverages are sold. So go on and try for yourself the crisp, refreshing taste of Summersby. Your taste buds deserve it. Please drink resplendently.
And we're back. I'm also we've got one partner left that I haven't talked about yet this week, and I'm actually really disappointed, but it's still okay. My love partners at DK. Love partners? My partners that I love at DK. Dorling Kindersley, who we know make the most fucking fantastic books. We know this, all right? This isn't an argument anymore. We've already proven it, all right? Now, maybe in 20 years from now, someone's going to come out, like a flat earther and be like, DK's not the best. And they're going to have a few people who might believe that, but the vast majority of us now, it's fact now. It's lunacy to even argue that DK does not make the most incredible visual informational books on the fucking planet. Problem is that yours truly has had such a busy week. I did not get a chance to, I barely scratched the surface of the book that I was reading. So I don't have a review for you guys right now. And I'm super glad I didn't promise one. And my partners at DK have sent me so much cool stuff that I want to get to. So I actually, the one I started reading, I will not have for you guys next week. Instead, I'm going to review the book that I've been super, super excited to read. I've got some time coming up this week, so I will have it completed, as well as the one, blah, 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 blah. This week coming out is Black Panther. All right. The movie's coming out. I can't wait. I'm super nerd for the Marvel movies. I'm very, very excited. And I will be reviewing next week DK's Black Panther book. So it is their first Marvel hardcover book that they've got, the complete Black Panther guide. And they have got, I'm super excited. I'm going to see the movie this week, and beforehand, I'm going to read the book. So if you're like me and you are enjoying these superhero movies, especially the Marvel ones, DK has you covered. Sorry, big fucking Red Bull hiccup there. DK has you covered in terms of getting the background information. So I'm not really familiar with Black Panther, to be totally honest with you. I'm not familiar. So I'm going to read this guide. I'm going to get the background of how he started, all of the information, and I'm going to be a fucking pro so that by the time I go and see the movie, I'm going to get the little subtle nuances and the little nods and little Easter eggs and stuff like that. And I'm going to see how the character in the movie stands up to the character from the comic books and the literature and all that fun stuff. So I will have a review for you guys next week of not only the Black Panther movie, but of the Black Panther guide from DK. So my apologies to my wonderful partners at DK, but rather than half-assing a review just to meet the podcast this week, I would rather do a great job because you guys do a great job, right? You got to match talent with talent. Can't give a half-assed review of a fucking amazing product. So, and again, swearing through my promo, but I got to tell you guys that they're such great partners. I think that they'll forgive me this time because I'm sure they too would prefer I just do a good job of the reviews. But I was reading the Yin Yoga book. So from the little bit that I saw, amazing book. Back into the yin, the floor stuff. But again, not going to half-ass it. Just going to tell you that soon I will have the review of the Yin Yoga book. It's so late, and now I've got like fatigue mixed with Red Bull fuel. So it's like faster fatigue mistakes. Anyways, I will have the Yin Yoga book reviewed for you guys in the not too distant future as well. But if you're excited about yoga and you like the Yin style yoga like I do, go out and get it now. You don't even need me to review it to know that it's gonna be a solid book. So yes, my partners at DK. So check out the Canadian one, dkbooks.com. I believe it's dk.com/ca. And of course, for any American and international listeners, dk.com. And you'll find their stuff. Now, having said that, I've got a few things coming up this week. Nothing amazing, right? But what I do have is tomorrow or today that you're listening to this is supposed to be my last day at the source, but I've actually been feeling a little under the weather tonight. I know you can't really tell, but I've been feeling a little sick, so I wasn't sure if I would wake up tomorrow full-blown sick. And now that it's so friggin' late, I don't even know if I'm going to wake up on time regardless. But I reached out to them at the source and was like, hey, I'm starting to feel a little under the weather, been running around like crazy. Might just be better for you guys to find a replacement for me tomorrow for my last day. Sorry, I won't be there. Blah, blah, blah. Again, I gave them more than I wanted to. We all know that, right? So I won't be at the source for my last day, the day of this podcast. I will, however, be at Absolute Comedy tomorrow night because I got 6 minutes, so I'm going to rest up during the day, and then you can see me live at Absolute Comedy. Isn't that a dick move? Not show up for my last day at work, and then go and do comedy at night. So I always Dr. Comedy. That adrenaline makes you feel better no matter what. Thursday, I start my new job at the mobile shop. Looking forward to that. And Thursday is also the first day that Black Panther comes out. So I extend an invite to all of you wonderful listeners. If anybody is in the Ottawa area and wants to go see the Nerdy Marvel movie with me on Thursday night, send me a message on Facebook. If you're following, One Man Podcast is available on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, even YouTube, guys. Or where else can you contact me? contact@onemanpodcast.com. Send me a message. If you want to go see the movie with me, let's have a podcast listeners night. Any little nerds out there, let's get together. Let's go see a fucking movie and we can get all of your feedback. Everyone can say what they thought of the movie. So Thursday night, I'd like to do that. Because I'm a super nerd. Don't want to wait for it. I want to see it the earliest availability. So I'm looking forward to that on Thursday. I've got more shifts and things like that coming up this week, but haven't got a schedule yet. So I'm looking forward to a new week, starting the new job. I've got some spare time to read the DK books, some spare time to, actually get into the gym, start doing some personal stuff. I'm excited to tell you guys more about weight loss, but as it stands right now, I've sort of hit a bit of a plateau. So still having, little slip ups and this and that. Nothing horrible, like nothing to really be accountable. Well, you got to be accountable for all results. But at the end of the day, I have no confessions. I have no, late night binge eating or anything like that. I'm actually doing pretty good. So I'm looking forward to telling you guys more about good things. So next week is going to be a great podcast because I'll be telling you how the new job's going. I'll be telling you how the writing group is going. And just some fun things going on. I got some more promo stuff coming up in the near future. Can't wait to tell you guys about, which involves booze. Oh my God, I love booze. So we're going to see what that's like. And I'm excited to tell you guys about that going forward. And this week, of course, there's no emails, which normally would hurt my heart to know that you guys don't want to talk to me. But an hour and 32 into one of my most exhausted podcasts, I'd like to think that my energy is still a little bit high and positive. But, normally I would be upset that you guys don't love me enough to email me in. But I'm just happy to be able to pull the trigger on this particular podcast this week. So that's the podcast, episode number 39 in the books. Thank you, all of you, for listening. As always, I love you very much, and despite that I'm a giant piece of shit who will make fun of a fat chick occasionally, I mean well. My journey continues. Growth and love. You guys have a great week. Can't wait to talk to you next week and tell you about all the fun new stuff. Until then.